I'm laughing, but it's because I love this subject so much. But it's not to be laughed at. That's why I'm laughing. Basically, in this video, I want to talk about why Libra is one of the hardest archetypes to master. And you don't hear that often. I don't think you ever hear that. Now, before I start, I just want to remind you, which I do in most of my videos, is that when I say Libra, I don't mean you if you are Libra, but when I say this kind of correctly, because one is not just one sun sign. I think there'll come a century, maybe sooner than a century, where we will speak of astrology in different terms. But for now, I'm not able to do that because there is no language I haven't created myself. But when we say someone is Libra, Gemini, Taurus, Aquarius, whatever, that we're just saying it's their sun, that's all. And there is so much more to them. Now, of course, sun is important, I get that, but the others are too. I kind of don't really think that we should hierarchize them. We should, put them into hierarchy. Personally, I'm of that inclination. So, back to Libra. When I speak of Libra, I'm speaking of the archetype. So, that means that Libra is an instruction of how to be a certain way. Every sign is an instruction, human, like a cosmos, cosmic, universe, divine. Okay, let's use the word divine. Instruction of how to be ourselves, how to be that sign. But there are 12 signs. There are planets, there are aspects, there are all kind of layers there, but let's stick with the simple. There are 12 signs. There are 12 ways of being us. There are 12 sides to us, 12 faces of being who you are. Your sun is just one of them. Your Libra is just one of them. But when I speak of signs, i.e. archetypes, I speak of their instruction to us, like what they're meant to symbolize, what's their purpose evolutionarily speaking, because the chart, zodiac naturally, like Aries first, Pisces 12th house, that's the model when I speak of it. That's the model of evolution. So each sign represents human evolution, like stages, or rather one's individuation. And that's really, I use evolution and individuation interchangeably, which means becoming whole, right? So the Libra piece is, as every other sign, is a critical step to do, and then the list goes on. Now, today, that's what every time I speak of signs, that's what I do. I speak in that general sense of what Libra is meant to teach us and why Libra lesson is so hard. So let me get on to that. When you look at the zodiac, you have Aries first, and then it goes down all the way back to Libra. And Libra is the first sign where we actually encounter the other being the other person, other people. But so imagine there is a below horizon, which is Aries all the way up to Libra, not including Libra, so including Virgo. Those 6 signs are below the horizon. And with astrology, as complex as it is, really, it's also very obvious. So it's like everything below horizon is kind of not visible. So those are our private selves, more private. They're self-involved. They're like, no one's watching. We are getting ready to be seen, to come out, i.e. Libra. But the problem is, why this is so hard, why when we get to Libra it's so hard, is because of Virgo. I'm a Pluto in Virgo. That's what I mean. I'm laughing because this is like the best drama sitcom you can ever watch if you do your astrology. And just astrology, but not your own. It's just phenomenal storytelling. So, and I'm Pluto in Virgo, and I have a stellium Virgo. I love Virgo. I'm so grateful for Virgo, and yet that's the problem in this particular story. I'm facetious. I'm being silly a little bit. Nothing is a problem, but for the story's sake. So, for the first 5 signs, archetypes, up to Leo and including Leo, we are developing the self. Like, we are really like, oh, right, we're getting there. We get to Leo and we're like, oh my God, look at me. Look how fabulous I am. Look who I can be, how I can be this and that and whatever, right? It's just, the Leo is just the theater, the theater of life. And we love Leo for that. I mean, I love Leo for that. Everyone should love Leo for that. and then we come to Virgo. Now, as my voice just dropped, we drop in, we drop our pretenses, we drop our facades, not pretenses in a kind of morally speaking pretenses, just like, all these pretense in terms of theater, because we are playing a game. So in that sense, pretense, it's not, I'm not moralizing, I'm never moralizing until I say so you're clear. So we get to Virgo, and we essentially strip ourselves of all the excess, all that essentially is not really useful anymore to Virgo, because Virgo as an archetype is all about efficiency, like day-to-day running of life, and so it gets serious, it gets concerned with the detail, with intricacies. It's like I often speak, and there is a whole video on that which I'll link below, on Virgo Pisces axis, where I touch on some of these themes. It's like wearing microscope for eyes, like having microscope for eyes. So it's like at Virgo we just see so much, because why do we see so much? In one sense, if you think that way, that's fine, but I'm going to offer a different take on it. So we are preparing to meet the other. So after Virgo comes Libra, which is the 7th house, which is when we come out, literally like like we kind of step over the horizon, and we are now, look, there's world, there's world, there are other people, right? So that's what we encounter in Libra, 7th house. So in one sense, you can think that Virgo is preparing us for that, but what in another sense, and I think a more powerful sense, astrology, the chart, or rather the dynamics, work kind of at cross purposes in a way, and yet nothing's wrong ever, right? That's another premise that I live by. At least certainly in theory, and my understanding of the world in practice doesn't always work like that, as I'm sure you can imagine and appreciate. So the cross purpose I'm talking about here now is the Pisces piece. So we essentially, because why? Because the pull isn't the next sign. So it's our evolution, but that's not the pull. The energetic pull is the opposition. It's like by the setup, by the fact that it's an opposition, there's that tension, right? Next sign to you is just like a friend next to you, or not a friend, just someone, right? Not an enemy either. But the opposition is the opposition. It could be the enemy as well, and it often is perceived as such because, we kind of project what we don't want on another, and they're all to blame and guilty and all that. But yeah, so the opposition is energetically is like it's more charged, right? So really, whenever we are in a sign, we are working with the opposite. So that's what I mean, cross purposes. We are moving along an axis. It's not an axis, a circle, let's call it, a path, let's call it a path. It is a circle, but anyway, of like sequence, like a succession of signs. That's the evolution. We're evolving, and we are aiming and going towards our 11th house, where we are complete and individuated. But the energy, what we are working with in order to get there, and it's how we are working with the opposite. And until we get there, we are not really fully there, like in terms of that full evolution, but circle. But nevertheless, while we're in that sign, that is very much present in our expression of that sign, as a tug, as a pull, as a kind of, hey, are you sure, right? All the kind of conflicts that we're experiencing within a sign is because we are sensing the opposition, okay? So when I say that we are paring down in Virgo, we are preparing, we are perfecting ourselves, we are improving ourselves, we are making ourselves more efficient, leaner, healthier. Like I say, we are removing all that we don't really need, that it's not necessary, that it's surplus, that it's a waste, right? What we are when we are creating that persona, that level, that stage of self in terms of the evolution, we are really having in mind, we are preparing it for the divine, which is Pisces. And I won't say much more about Pisces at this stage, which I will in the other video. And so you can see, can you not see, right? So in Virgo, before we get, just the step before we get out and meet the other, we are essentially preparing ourselves, who will meet the other any minute now, for the divinity, for God, right? And yet what happens? We meet a mere human, fallible as us, messed up as us, also meeting us in the house for the first time. And at that stage, right? So we are not just unprepared because we've never done it before, right? In that sense, unprepared, but we are literally not prepared for another human. We are prepared for divinity. So immediately we're almost set up for failure. I'll say that, the F word, right? But failure is really just a something to create your story and to be part of you. It's like, just, I don't shame failure, even though yes, conditionally I am also conditioned to have done that, and I have done it, but I have done the other kind of that work, the opposite direction, where I'm absolutely I'm loving it. I'm a third line in human design, which means I'm all about errors, truly. Just watch my videos, they're just, not perfect, far from it, and I don't know if there will be. Anyway, so we get to, we're set up for failure, in a sense. It's like, but you see, the failure, or just any kind of pain, right? Let's say pain is synonymous with failure, for the sake of this conversation here, is there to let us know that we have that thing that is paining us. So if you think of athletes, they, like when you go cross country skiing and discover that you have muscles, behind your jaw or just in the corner of your little pinky finger or whatever it's called. It's that. So wow, you get to know yourself. So the 7th house Libra archetype is very much about getting to know ourselves through the eyes of the other. But because we don't know, we have never done it before, we are learning with another who's also, we have no teacher. That's the thing, we have no teacher. In Virgo, the teacher was divinity, as Virgo prepared us for the 7th house, thinking it was preparing us for the 12th house. In the 7th house, we don't have a teacher for the relationships. We have a teacher now. The only teacher we have in 7th house is Aries, because of that opposition. What we're ultimately working with is the opposition. That's all we have. It's like that's what we got. It's our toolbox is the opposition, the opposite sign. So hence, as you will, I'll link a few of those videos that are particularly relevant to this one as well. And you see, I speak of honesty all the time. I mean, I am Venus in Aries, and I have Uranus in Libra, which is all about liberating and individuating. So wherever you have Uranus, you will find that sign and that house, you are liberating, you are being progressive about it, you see the future, you live the future of that archetype, and it's ultimately the individuating agent, or the agent of individuation. So that's why I kind of have a thing about Libra. It's like I know what the highest expression of Libra looks like and how to free Libra up, right? And I have quite a few clients with the South Node in Libra. They will, if they watch this, they'll know who they are. And they call me that. And I grew up with South Node in Libra most of my childhood because of where I am. I'm South Node in Virgo, but yeah, anyway, so that's generationally, they're there next to me. So I have lifelong experience with that South Node, which is what we currently have. Did I mention that at the beginning of this video, that this is why this topic is so important? Because the South Node is really where we are working with the shadow of that archetype. Like we're particularly encouraged to, that's what I mean. We're like, it's time, now is the time. Now it's a great time to do Libra shadow. So hence this video, hence many more. But like I say, back to the opposition and what we're ultimately working with in all of these signs is the opposite one. And honesty is a big piece, which is why I speak of it often. But so, the difficulty. So what we do when we have no teacher, so we are going by what feels safe, right? What feels easy, but ultimately it's safety. Because we are, the other person might just look different to us, or how they tell us their feedback about us, about us might be just not palatable, not pleasant. So, or when it is pleasant, we're like, we clock that in as something that, oh, that's good, that makes me feel good, that makes me feel safe. So we really compound and double down on this knee-jerk reaction, because like I say, for the first time with no teacher, we are all in it beginners, right? Newbies, toddlers, whatever. We are therefore going just with what feels good and safe. And because it's air, Libra's air, there is also speed. Like there is no, if it was earth or fire is also speed, like spreads fast, right? My point there being is like there's a sense in the seventh house, our personal seventh house, if you think about it, but also maybe a Libra house as well, and planets that you have there. There is a sense of speed, like things are moving fast. There is no time to sort of stand and sit with the experience of being with the other. That's not the norm, and that needs to be a norm, and that will be becoming norm, and it maybe already is in some, if you're lucky and you have those kind of relationships, because that's what we need. We need that moment to just, and what that moment does is separates us so that we can then go, okay, what is, so it isolates you from the other, but we don't do that in Libra naturally and easily, because we are like pulled towards each other as a way of learning about each other and about ourselves. If that's at that level stage of evolution, that's what we are ready for that. But the piece about Virgo that prepared us for divinity, it just stripped us too much. We're almost like ascetic in our energetic makeup. We are too pure. Now, I'm not suggesting that being pure with another person is wrong. God, no, absolutely. But it also means that we are vulnerable. So we are hypersensitive, like we are so cleansed. We don't, I just realized I have a wasp in there. We don't have the protection, right? Hence the safety. And really, we are still ultimately human and still ultimately only seventh house, seventh step Libra, right? We're not yet at the 11th step. So there are however many more, 4 more, 5, whatever that is. Anyway, so we're still insecure. And like I said, because of the first time, we're so insecure. Now there is this other person and it's like, oh, are we naked? Are we too exposed? Are we right? And so all of these are factors that contribute to this this shadow of Libra, why it's actually hard to do relationships, because we're coming, like the shadow piece there, that we are coming from a place of fear and for safety. How are we going to be received by the other? Do we feel safe to be who we are? And right, and then we also, there is that old paradigm, which is up until we get to Aquarius, we're still in, astrologically speaking, in old paradigm, and therefore when Pluto enters Aquarius, in my opinion, that's what we're kind of going to be really ramping up the whole new paradigm way of being. And but up until that point, we are still very much functioning from that belief that safety is in numbers. Like, so if we are joining together with other people, we are going to be safe. So that's why it's important that we are accepted and liked. I mean, you know, I'm sure this is a given and you know all this, but that's essentially the shadow of Libra. And it's often also called codependence, and I know that I agree. I think that is that codependence, as opposed to interdependence, which is that of course we're all dependent on each other. We are, absolutely, but it's that codependency that it's the unhealthy element of it, that it's the shadow of Libra. And so really for this video, on this occasion, I just wanted to explain why that is. Just hopefully I have painted a good picture of why it's so hard to do relationships at this stage of our evolution in Libra. Like in a way that feels good to us, right? It feels like we can be who we are fully, in our personal one-to-one relationships. And I have videos that I'll link below that I speak of how to do that, because it's all about bringing Aries in. But also like when we get to Aquarius, in terms of evolution, that's where we ultimately know how to do that. But so for this video, like I said, I've already given many advices in other videos, which I'll link below, but I just wanted to highlight that, to explain, as a way of a permission slip, that it's okay to feel like that, but knowing why that is. Now you can, if you can relate to this from whatever area in your chart, or just as a human, right? Like, just be aware of it, right? Just the awareness is like a really important step. And as you are observing yourself doing that, you will start to see something will start to thaw. Something will start to lose its grip on you. And you will start to probably start to attract the Aries archetype pieces, honesty, independence, and therefore interdependence. So it's that, when I said earlier, like it's to be separate within a relationship is ultimately the goal, which is what Aquarius does naturally. And in Libra, we have the ground to practice that on, because we have Aries, which is separation, and it's an individual, but in a relationship. So it's like, and with Chiron in Aries, and I'll have another video. No, that's what I mean. I don't want to go into that. So I've spoken about that too many times already. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of clarify what it is. As I say, I don't think I heard many say that. And do let me know what you think, please, your experience of all of it. And do you want me to clarify anything more? Speak about one of the things that I touched on here more, and anything else you want to tell me. See you next week.